Veteran Salute, sponsored by Devon James Injury Lawyers.
Wednesday nights are time for our weekly segment, Veteran Salute, our chance to honor heroes in this area and thank them for their service. Tonight, we honor Colonel Gary LaGrange, who proudly served our country in the United States Army.
I was drafted, so I entered the Army under a program that would allow me to become an officer by going to OCS when I finished. And so I went on the roster for OCS and then attended Officers Candidate School.
After graduating, Gary was assigned to Fort Hood, Texas.
Almost immediately after being assigned, it was announced that the 198th Light Infantry Brigade was going to be formed. And so I was selected to be a platoon leader in one of the companies of that brigade. And we spent the next 3 months training there and preparing to deploy to Vietnam. We formed in May of 1967 and deployed in October. So we didn't have a whole lot of time to get ready, but we deployed in October and arrived in Vietnam toward the end of October and went into combat in November. We were part of a brigade. Our job was to defend a particular area that we were in. I was there only a few weeks before I was wounded the first time.
After recovering from a bullet wound and a snake bite, he returned to Vietnam.
I finished out that year, and then I had some light wounds again, and then at the end of that tour, I was snake bitten again in the jungle, and ended back in the hospital system again, and ended up at Fort Riley, Kansas, to convalesce there. And not long thereafter, I was told I was going back for a second tour, which I did, and then a third in Laos. And so I had to get, I went through airborne training at that point in time, although I had already been skydiving before that, but I went through airborne training and then off to Laos in special operations. Everything we did was classified. I would just say that we did everything we could to help our counterparts in Vietnam so that things wouldn't be as difficult for them there. Came back from Laos and served at Fort Carson and then began serving in different locations around this country and back in Germany again.
Which eventually led him back to Kansas and Fort Riley.
I was promoted to colonel then and ended up as the post commander during Desert Storm.
Gary later had the opportunity to go to the next level of command in Europe, but chose to stay here in Kansas.
My wife said, we've moved 23 times in 28 years. We need to settle down. And so she had followed me faithfully for all those years, and I decided to stay here.
Gary retired from the Army after serving those 28 years, but has stayed very active. He helped his daughter open a training farm in Manhattan for soldiers that had post-traumatic stress. He also started Valor Honey Company to benefit